So we did a separate video about Luca, so we'll be doing a quick video about all of the other movies releasing. So the number one movie is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. That is the number one movie. The movie only costed $100 million to make, which means this movie just makes the same amount of money as Ghostbusters Afterlife made to make money. Will it make money? Again, we'll wait to see. But a lot of people say this movie was like okay or meh. Usual scores were around 5 to 6 out of 10, which means this movie wasn't as good as Afterlife. Once again, this movie is suffering from the sequel problem. Kind of like the first and second Ghostbusters. Okay, the second Ghostbusters was never as good as the first one. But we're going to admit that this movie was much better than Ghostbusters 2016. I think everybody agrees Ghostbusters 2016 is still far worse than this movie. Okay? And it is kind of ridiculous that the fans, the reason why they didn't like the movie is because the movie was like, it wasn't funny. It was kind of like more CGI. Like, people were sick of these movies where it's like CGI, swap, basically. Kind of like those criticisms. But the difference between the fans and the critics is the critics, they don't like it because this movie and Afterlife decanifies Ghostbusters 2016. Okay, I did not make a separate video about that, but that's what I heard why the critics don't like this movie. Which is why no one trusts them, okay? The average Iron score is higher than the critic score because the critic scores are so salty that this movie decanifies 2016. Okay, like of Afterlife. Okay, it decanifies a 2016 Ghostbusters movie because the same critics who hate this movie who didn't like this movie, a lot of them so happened to give the 2016 movie a positive score. Okay? So happened to give the 2016 movie, that awful movie that no one liked, a better score. We can also compare this to the last couple Ghostbusters movies. These as well. So we can compare this to Ghostbusters Afterlife. And the 2016 Ghostbusters. A lot of people don't like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire because it's not funny. Yeah, that's the reason why a lot of people don't like it. Again, Ghostbusters 2016 is actually the highest grossing of the three movies. It'll probably remain it, but the thing is they spent too much money on Ghostbusters 2016. I think they sort of kept the budget lower, like Afterlife. Okay? $75 million. I think that's the main reason why that movie made money. I don't even think it will pass. I think it will do the same amount globally as Frozen Empire. And it was Afterlife. But if it doesn't for inflation, this movie is actually doing... Both of these movies actually did worse than 2016. But I think it's because a lot of people some people did not want to see Ghostbusters Afterlife because of the pandemic. And because of how bad 2016 movie was. That it's the same thing with Frozen Empire. A lot of people say this movie is okay. It's nothing really special. It's not really worth going out to theaters to see, as well. It's funny, there's two movies named with the word Empire coming out. There's Godzilla X Kong, which is going to be the big Easter movie. Okay. Also, I think Ghostbusters Frozen Empire might have a pretty good hold because of Easter coming out as well. But Frozen Empire, again, not many people really care too much about Ghostbusters. I think this is an IP that really was hurt by the 2016 movie. I think Ghostbusters Afterlife was the movie that all the people wanted to see, but decided to release that all-female one instead that no one liked. So yeah, that movie, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I think is still haunted by its past. No pun intended. Next is Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 may not actually pass $300 million. May not even get close to $300 million. The movie, again, they don't have the international numbers updated for this movie. But this movie has continued to add in to a successful one as a movie. It's still the highest grossing movie of the year and might be for some time. So Dune Part 2. Again, Dune Part 2 is based off a very obscure book. So the fact that it's doing this well is pretty surprising. but not surprising at the same time. But the movie will continue. It's continuing to have pretty okayest ratings. It is doing average for its type of movie. But yeah, we are all concerned at the very beginning of its beginning ratings, but it did catch up. It did increase in ratings by each week. But the thing is, Dune Part 2 has to compete with all these other movies. That's the big problem here. This is Kung Fu Panda 4, which they have finally released this in China. I think the movie is also finally gonna break even as well. The movie isn't really doing too well internationally. It is doing the same as the last couple of entries in domestic markets. But this movie is another movie that people about. Kind of like of Ghostbusters. People like, this movie is just meh. It's nothing really interesting or special. Okay? People didn't really connect to this movie as the first three movies. Again, did we really need a fourth Kung Fu Panda movie? Probably not. But they made it anyways. So yeah. Next is this movie. I didn't even know what's coming out. It's called Immaculate. I don't even know what this movie is about. Oh, it's about a nun. But this movie has made $5 million. As well. Offer the King. This movie is a failure. Yeah. I think that this movie opened too well. Again, this is the non-franchise Hollywood problem. Again, it has Mark Wahlberg in it, an actor people don't really like all too much. Okay. Mark Wahlberg is an actor that people don't really like too much. I think that's another thing. People don't really like Mark Wahlberg too much. Okay. He has been, if you look at his box office record history, he has been in a lot of box office failures. Okay. So yeah, Mark Wahlberg, an actor people don't really like all too much either. Imaginary is imagining itself to be a successful movie, but it isn't. So yeah, this movie has still not broken even. It probably will not break even as well. Love Lies Bleeding isn't doing too well. It is a limited to wide release movie, so probably didn't have a big budget either. But Cabrini, yeah, this movie was not present last week, but no one really cares all too much about this movie either. Here. And yeah. Bob Marley, One Love. Has it broken even? No, it's only $4 million away. I think this movie is a loss at this point. It's a loss. It's dead international and it's dead domestic. Basically almost dead domestic, but this movie is a loss anyways. Also has not released in several Asian markets yet. But I just don't think those Asian markets are gonna really turn it. Okay, the only country that hasn't released it is Malaysia. I don't think Malaysia is really gonna change the overall total or tally of this movie. And One Wife, again, no, not many people really cared all too much about this movie either. This movie is a international movie, most likely a British movie. So yeah. This movie has released in the US, so yeah, this is a movie that released in London. Yeah, but it isn't doing too well in the US. That's about this video here. Goodbye.